Before I begin, I'm going to keep my comments very, very brief. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to come here to Cairo. I think we're honored to be able to host this event, and it was a set of circumstances that allowed us to put together this small 2 or 3 days here in Cairo.
Good morning and welcome. I'll keep this very brief. We've already introduced you to one of our cultural aspects in Egypt, which is that we're sometimes a little bit too relaxed about time. To have the Choiseul 100 Africa group here in Cairo. Over the course of the past couple of years in reunions in Paris, I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you. And what started as a network, a list of people, has gradually developed into, I think, a real community with bonds and linking each one of us, those of us, whether from the northern part of Africa, from the southern part, east, west, center, as well as our friends in France, bringing this group together.
And I say, never think about clash between generations. No. We think always about the continuity, and how we are ready to give our experience. You have better science, you have better knowledge, you have better communication with IT, and we have a lot of experience, and I'm ready to back you, support you, to give you really all our experience. I worked non-stop for 44 years, and I continue to work very hard, because this is the only way for success.
Choiseul is a leading think tank based in Paris, focusing on international affairs. And we have been developing a program of young leaders, of leadership. And so now we have launched some rankings, which are not only ranking, but which are networks. Some are focusing on European issues, or European geography, I would say, mainly French one, and another one on Africa. And this is the purpose of this meeting, to gather all these young economic leaders from Africa, coming from 40 countries, more or less, and gathering here in Cairo to meet, to network, to talk, to think about business opportunities among them, but also maybe in relation with the people we will meet here in Egypt, entrepreneurs, businessmen, and so on. So this is what is Choiseul today.
Ladies, gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a real honor and a real pleasure for us to be hosting today in Cairo the Choiseul 100 Africa delegation. As Ms. Sylvia Menassa and as our chairman, Mr. Anissa Clamandos, kindly said in their introduction, the group that we have today visiting represent some of the best and brightest that our continent has to offer. A group of emerging business and economic leaders from around the continent, selected under the age of 40 by the Institut Choiseul in Paris.
As I say in my introduction, I think that Egypt can easily be the gateway for a lot of American companies and European companies as a gateway to Africa. I think that the Suez Canal zone is going to be very important for the African countries. I think that a lot of African countries at that stage of development can have a very good fit with Egyptian American companies in Egypt, and Egyptian companies in particular.
I think there's a couple of different angles one needs to look at. Ultimately, when you look at the continent of Africa, what you find is that
it is a population of approximately 1.2 billion today. But yet what we find is that the interaction between African countries is somewhat limited. What this institute does in particular, and it does it extremely well, is it brings together what it perceives to be the 100 leaders under the age of 40 who will have a direct economic impact on the continent. By putting us together in a room, by hosting events, whether on the continent of Africa or in other locations, it is creating an opportunity for us not only to converse, but to engage in a dialogue that most likely will continue after this event. At the end of the day, what we try to take a look at is between the various institutions that are, say, sponsoring the event, or the CEOs or board members or chairmen of the various companies that are represented. These are all very successful people. And so without a doubt there is going to be some area of synergy between us. And this is, I think, what the real benefit is, because that inter-African dialogue, to a certain extent, is missing.
C'est la deuxième année que je suis classé aujourd'hui, c'est un véritable honneur. C'est aussi une occasion privilégiée de rencontrer des gens très intéressants, aussi bien africains que européens aussi. C'est un endroit où on peut échanger par rapport aux opportunités, par rapport à toutes les associations et les synergies qu'on pourrait avoir au niveau du continent africain. On croit énormément aujourd'hui aux échanges sud-sud et c'est une plateforme qui nous intéresse beaucoup et je suis doublement engagé là-dessus, donc par rapport à mon classement qui m'honore, mais aussi par rapport à notre vision d'être un acteur africain très actif dans le développement durable du continent.
So it was quite a surprise for me because I was not expecting it at any one time. So when I got the email from Chazal that I had been nominated, I was very pleasantly surprised because it means the work that I'm doing is being recognized somewhere. Yeah. And when I got to see the rest of the rankings, I saw a few other Kenyans in it and I said, okay, I know these people. Maybe they don't know me, but at least I can be able to interact with them. And not just the other Kenyans, but the rest of the continent. You get a good opportunity for networking. So the whole journey, and even now as we are here, it's very exciting because I'm getting to know more people and I'm sure it's going to be up from here.
Scheusel, pour moi, c'est une institution, c'est une histoire qui nous permet de s'ouvrir sur le continent africain, de nous regrouper et de mettre en valeur surtout les leaders, les jeunes leaders africains.
Nous avons l'honneur, j'ai eu l'honneur personnellement d'être de faire partie du classement Choiseul de l'année 2016. C'est bien entendu, c'est quelque chose de glorifiant. Je viens d'Algérie, je viens du groupe, c'est un groupe familial qui s'appelle le groupe Agli, je suis le général manager du groupe. Je visite pour la première fois l'Égypte, je me sens comme chez moi. L'occasion nous a été donnée de rencontrer pas mal de chefs d'entreprise et de représentants du milieu économique égyptien et africain bien entendu. Beaucoup de pays africains sont représentés aujourd'hui, des chefs d'entreprise jeunes de moins de 40 ans et je pense que ça représente très très bien l'Afrique. L'avenir, je pense, c'est l'Afrique.
I'm very proud and I'm very grateful for the Institut Choiseul for creating this list, allowing us as young leaders from the African continent to network together, to meet with ministers and statespeople in France and in different countries in Africa. It's been a very good experience over the course of the past 3 years in all of the meetings that I've attended.
I think, for many years in Africa, we don't have the communication, we don't know each other very well. There is a lot of misconception and misunderstanding with each other. So that did not allow us to be able to trade, to build more trust, to have more understanding on our economic boundaries. So it has always been politically charged wherever we go across Africa. It's such a big continent. So having this kind of a network like Choiseul allows us to come together to discuss our issues, the opportunities, and so on and so forth. So it's a fantastic platform to discuss the future, which is really what has happened in the past is the past, but in the future is within grasp. So this is an ideal platform to be able to discuss the opportunities coming ahead of us.
Listen, you know, what is amazing here among all these people is that we're young, we're from Africa, and we're sharing our energy. And having recognition from all our peers, it's a great pleasure. I think there are 3 levels. The first level is basically the dogma, the new thesis is South is helping South. And today, we don't need to have expertise from abroad. The expertise with the young generation is starting inside Africa. This is the first phases. The second thing is today we have to build bridges, we have to build gateways in between us. Can you imagine that still we have boundaries in Africa? We have to build the real United States of Africa. And I think this is a great project that we have to achieve. It will take time, it will take generation, but surely I'm sure we can achieve that. The third thing is basically we need in our education day to day in each of our country, we have to have a clear commitment, a clear vision to three goals. First one, development, of course. Second one, social justice. And third one, free democracy everywhere.
It's actually a great recognition. I mean, one receives quite a few awards in their country of origin, but what is most special about this particular recognition is that it's one which looks at things more in the continental sense of things, where the continent is growing, how it should be developed, and what that skills pool is that is required to develop it. So you have here a grouping of people that are coming from all sorts of the continent. No better opportunity than that for networking, but also for us to put our minds together and think collectively about what are those problems we know about the continent, but move beyond that. Think about what are today's solutions that we need to build the kind of tomorrow that we all want to see.
We had heard this morning a few statistics on the continent in terms of the number of youth. And as we know, it's a very young continent, and one of the objectives of this network is to connect the young entrepreneurs and the young achievers, whether they're in public policy, in the business area, or entrepreneurs that have a social impact within their respective countries. I believe it's a fantastic way to create bridges. Because at the age of 40 or before 40 a little bit, it is the time when people reach sort of a prime position in their career. And most likely many of the people you're going to interview and see as part of Choiseul are going to be very, very important, if not already, in their respective countries. And therefore, to be able to push for change and reform, to have this fantastic group of intellectual and I would say very much forward-looking participants, it is going to be a fantastic push for the whole continent.
We have achieved 2 training courses for our brothers in the African countries, including 81 trainees from more than 21 African countries. They got the training in the field of electronics and mechatronics.
How proactive would the government be ready to go to those sub-Saharan African countries and build those partnerships?
From the principal point of view, our government is encouraging the investments in Egypt. Either it is Egyptian money or investments coming from abroad. That is our policy in our government to encourage. So we are totally open, as I said. I said that 4 or 5 times.
Choiseul aujourd'hui est une belle initiative parce que moi j'ai souhaité être partenaire de Choiseul pour accompagner la dynamique économique, mais aussi tout le travail que Choiseul est en train de faire aujourd'hui pour rapprocher les hommes d'affaires africains et créer le réseau pour le développement sociopolitique du continent.
Therefore, I believe that the location of Egypt in Africa really made this civilization, because the most important was the River Nile. And the River Nile linking Egypt with Ethiopia, with Sudan, with Uganda, with many other countries. And I believe that the River Nile was very important to Egyptian transporting from the south in Africa the diorite stones to make statues, also gold. We have the first map showing the source of gold in Africa on the 6th cataract. I think it should be somewhere near Uganda.
We meet here the future of the business community in Africa, so it's very refreshing. We see young talents who are already successful, and this is we meet the future basically.
Well, you know, the Choiseul Africa Network is a great network that brings together many African leaders from all over the continent. And, you know, it showcases successful experience and success stories through their leaders, and therefore it also showcases the tremendous opportunities that Africa has in various economic sectors. In addition to that, it encourages the South-South partnerships as well as synergies, you know, between the various countries.
So when I was selected in 2014 to the Choiseul 100 Africa, I got to know I was invited to the first reunion that took place in Paris that year, and I got to know this network and this listing of extremely impressive and talented young men and women, business leaders, top business executives from all around the continent, Francophone Africa, Anglophone Africa, North, South, East, West. And was truly honored to be part of this group, and was, and this reinforced my belief that the promise of Africa, the future of Africa, is really linked to this new generation of up-and-coming business leaders driving growth across their countries. So when the opportunity came to invite this extraordinary group to come in and have their annual reunion here in Cairo, Egypt, and introduce them to our country and its opportunities and its potential for cooperation with other African countries, this was an opportunity that we could not miss, and it's been a real pleasure having this group here and having the opportunity to introduce them not only to our culture and our history, but also to organize meetings with business leaders in Egypt through the Federation of Industries and the American Chamber of Commerce, with senior government officials. We're honored to have His Excellency General Assal come and address the audience, His Excellency Engineer Ibrahim Mehlib come and address them. So both on the government side, the business side and the cultural side, we were very proud to co-host this group being here in Egypt, reinforcing the network and introducing Egypt to the rest of our brothers and sisters from around Africa.